Everybody, welcome to the July 17th Town Board meeting. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Jessica Lopez, Third Ward.
Michael Safone, Fourth Ward.
Matthew Wooliver, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. Tonight we have a rather small agenda. First item on the agenda will be a public hearing of the Kimlin Farmhouse Historic Landmark. Then number 2 on the agenda is an SRO agreement with Spackenville School District. Number 3 is Marriage College Block Party Fireworks. 4 is a waive Arlington Fire District alarm system replacement permit cost. SC5 is a special consent car show at the Galleria. And after the first public hearing, our auditors have just finished our audit, and they're going to give us a quick presentation to present to the board, just an audit and a quick outline so the board members have an understanding of how the audit should go. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any item on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody like to discuss any item on the agenda? Doreen?
Well, you fooled me. You usually do public hearings
I know.
first, but okay. So my question is for agenda item number 4 for the Arlington Fire District alarm system. So that's only to waive the fee for the alarm installation?
Correct.
So I guess, okay, I'm not sure why that's even on here, because when the town board changed the fee schedule years ago, you put a special note in 105-4, fees for applications for matters involving the Arlington Fire District, Fairview Fire District, New Hamburg Fire District, and any unit of local government, including public school districts, are hereby waived. So I guess that's just on there for the heck
We
of
wanted
it.
to over-secure ourselves, Doreen.
Okay, all right.
We
So,
just missed it, whichever.
all right, so they still need to get their permits. This is just that the fees are being waived, and they came forward even though they didn't need to.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
thanks. John, you want to wait for the public hearing, or come on and have a seat, because we're going to do the public hearing. You might as well come up and sit. Anybody else? If not, a motion to resume the rules?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to open public hearing number 1, Kimlin Farmhouse Historic Landmark.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Does
evening,
anybody like
everyone.
to discuss this? Mr. Pinna?
John Pinna, town historian and the chair of the Preservation Commission. I just want to thank the board for giving us the opportunity, the commission, to bring this forth to you. The Kimlin House is an interesting place. We recognize homes that have important people, architecture that's superb. Kimlin House doesn't look very impressive, but it really is an important piece of our history. It's one of 2 tenant houses that exist within the area, and we happen to have one right here in the town of Poughkeepsie. And what's important about it is it's a Dutch colonial architecture. It also has a mud walls it's built with, its beam structure. But more important than that, it's a good representation, an important representation of a tenant farmer, the working man's home from the 1800s. Usually what happens with these kinds of places is most of the time they're not seen as important historically, and so they kind of get wiped off the face of the earth. We save the mansions, we save the beautiful architecture. But here you have a structure that has a great significant history tied in with the cider mill property. And so it's really worth saving in terms of our town history. I gave you all the documentation and background. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Who's the current owner?
James Papp, and we did speak with him, and he did send us, if you look in the documentation on the 4th page, and he sent us an email, and he told us on the very first line that he supports this.
Previous.
We had that in the notice.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was in the, when it was
Yeah.
first noticed.
Full time.
Okay.
And we always like to go
19.
forward with the support of the owners when we do this. That's one of our main objectives.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Anybody else? Make a motion, close public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, another thing that's unique about this is most of the time, if they survive, they get updated. And this one was never updated. I mean, the floors, the windows, the beams, the nails are all original to the late 1700s, early 1800s. And one of our commission members was in it, and he was looking at the chimney, and the chimney tells the most amazing story of how the family lived, because the fireplace in the basement is deeper, and he says this was the cooking fireplace, so there would have been a pot on it all day long with a fire, creating a draft upstairs. And then when you go upstairs, the next fireplace is very narrow, and he says that's because the fire was built out into the room, trying to get as much heat out into the room on the second floor, which would have been used as the family parlor and the parents' bedroom. And then with the draft created from the fire downstairs, it would pull all the smoke out. Well, it still had been really smoky, but it would continue to pull the smoke up the chimney. And then there was the little attic upstairs, and he said that's where you threw the kids because you really didn't care if they froze or not.
That's real nice.
So yeah, it really tells the story of the family that lived there.
Cool. Jeffrey?
Whereas the Historic Preservation Commission of the Town of Poughkeepsie has made recommendations to the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie for designation as a landmark of property known as Kimlin Farmhouse located 141 Cedar Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York, grid number 134-689-616-0-2-704718-0000. And whereas pursuant to Chapter 126 of the Code of the Town of Poughkeepsie, a public hearing was held on July 17, 2019 at 7 p.m. at Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, concerning such designation, public notice being given for said hearing and all interested parties having an opportunity to be heard. And whereas the legal notice of the public hearing was posted on June 26, 2019 and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal July 2nd, 2019. And whereas that action is a Type 2 action pursuant to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, such that no further environmental review is necessary. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Poughkeepsie, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie hereby designate Kimlin Farmhouse, a Dutch colonial style farmhouse, one of two in the immediate area located at 141 Cedar Avenue, to be a historic landmark subject to all the applicable rules and regulations found in Chapter 126 of Code of the Town of Poughkeepsie, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to give the appropriate notification as required by town code. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thanks for all your work on that, John and Ann. And after that, our next thing on the agenda is RBT will give us the town board members a quick presentation on the audit and maybe some explanation on how to understand the audit.
Oh, sorry. He's working. Yeah. I just want to, there was some major changes with GASB, which is a Government Accounting Standards Board, and a lot of the reporting changed. And I thought it was be helpful if we had the auditors come in and give us a presentation on some of the numbers or explanation. So tonight, we Linda Hannigan is the senior partner at RBT, and Jessica McGann was the lead auditor on the audit. So I'll turn it over to Linda.
Linda, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you to the town board and to Supervisor Baisley for
Can
having.
you talk closer to the
Sorry.
mic?
Yes.
You want to switch?
Yeah, okay. Okay. Again, I just wanted to thank the town board and then Supervisor Baisley for inviting us to present to you this evening. As Charlie mentioned, the financial statements did go over a big change in 2018 with the implementation of what's known as GASB 75. So what I'm going to do is first give you an overview of our opinion and then give you an overview of that impact and also to speak briefly about your various funds, which reported on the same basis that you prepare your budget. First thing, we want to thank Charlie and Jessica for helping us complete the audit in a very timely manner this year. We got it done much sooner than in the past. We've had fewer journal entries than we had in the past, and we just want to thank both of you. So with that, I can ask the council to look at our pages 1 and 2 in your package there. That's our audit opinion, which says that the audit is prepared under government auditing standards and that the audit is an unmodified opinion, meaning that your financial statements are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. That's very important. That's the best opinion that an entity can get. So on page 9 is the statement of net position, and you'll see it lists total assets and deferred outflows of approximately $121 million, total liabilities of $156 million, leaving you with a net position deficit of almost $35 million. And that is a direct result of the GASB 75 implementation. 75 means that the town had to record an actuarially determined amount of the post-employment benefits that have been promised to the town's retirees and its current employees. That liability is almost $94 million. It made a huge impact on the town's overall financial statements. However, as is noted in notes, this is actuarially determined. It's an estimate. And it's not used, it has no impact on your budget or any of your funds. It's reported here on a townwide basis that also includes all of your fixed assets, all of your outstanding debt as well. So you want to make sure that that point is clear. On page 11, it shows the status of all of the town's individual funds. One of the more significant numbers is the fact that the town, at the end of December 2018, had nearly $14 million in cash. You'll see that across the top line. Their total assets.
Excuse me, Linda, I hate
Yes.
to interrupt.
Sure.
The packets that Jeff and I got do not have the sheets of the budget sheets in them. I'm going to share with my partner here. What are we going to do with Jeff?
I hope Jeff has red eyes.
It says they're missing. Page 11.
We'll have it during, we're just getting it.
Yeah, they're not in some.
No, we just got it, we wanted to be able to explain it first.
Look at the extras you got.
I was looking, I'm thinking, I thought it was crazy.
We're just talking about the deficit.
Oh, you didn't see that either?
Yeah, no, it's.
Not in mine either, the 3 I have,
I see it.
I guess.
Okay, thanks.
One looks thicker.
Yeah, that one has it.
Oh, this one has it.
Okay, the other two.
One short question here.
Sure.
I'm not a budget person. If we hire a new employee now, and let's say it's the next board meeting, and it's somebody for the highway department or the water department, we have to calculate the costs that that employee's retirements will be?
Yes, that's included on these government-wide financials
To-
as well as what.
I understand that, but to what point? They're going to work here for 20 years.
Well,
We
that's
don't
why,
count 20 years?
but the actuary takes that lifespan is 90 years old. So they get hired at 25. We got 65 years,
Okay,
but it's
that's
an
why we have
actuary.
actuaries, but that money then goes as a line, as an obligation.
Yes.
On what we call your government-wide financial statements that include all of the town's assets, its buildings, its equipment, and its debt.
Understood, thank you.
So on page 11 is the governmental funds balance sheet, as I mentioned. Those financial statements are prepared essentially on the same basis as your budget. So that, for example, the total assets for your general fund was $4 million. Total liabilities about $2 million. Your fund balance in the general fund the townwide general fund was $2,175,000. And the total fund balance for all your funds comes to $4.2 million. These financial statements are based on on the same basis basically as your budget. It records all of your revenues that are received during the year, the expenditures that are paid during the year, leaving you with a fund balance. There are some accruals, but this is what you use to base your budget on.
Can I point out just one thing? You can see on that, on the capital projects, we're showing a deficit of $10 million. Again, this is an accounting, reporting. We took out a $10 million ban, as you know, for the highway. So a ban is not considered revenue, it's an expense, okay? So the 10 million is listed here as a deficit. We bonded in March of 2019, the 11 million. So now next year on financial report, this is going to disappear because we got the $11 million in to offset that and it wipes it out. It's a reporting position, not a cash position, let's say. So next year's financials, you're not going to see this 10 million. It's going to be wiped out because we bonded in March of 19. So I just, and that's where, like in the second or third page, it says that our fund balance dropped down $3 million. It's due to the capital projects and the ban that $3 million. We took out $3 million, 2.5, but we spread it over 5 years for the highway. So I just, when you see that $10 million deficit, again, it's more of an accounting reporting position, not an actual cash position.
Thank you. On page 13 is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And it also, at the very last line, shows the individual fund balances. So, as I mentioned, the general fund has $2,175,000. Your general fund part town is approximately $2 million. The highway fund has $900,000. The water fund, which is an accumulation of all your water districts, is $4 million. The sewer, again, an accumulation of all your sewer districts, is $4.7 million. And then you'll see the capital projects that Charlie just referred to, showing the deficit of $10,270,000. And as he mentioned, that is as a result of financing your capital projects with bans. In 19, and when after your serial bonds are issued, that will be eliminated.
Charlie, you want to just touch on the highway going down there, why it went down?
Well, you can see on these changes, the highway had a negative $114,000. But in last year's budget, in 2018's budget, we budgeted to take $150,000 from fund balance to help fund the highway. So in reality, we didn't spend the 150, we only spent 114. So we planned on spending 150 in the fund balance, but we only took 114. That's what that deficit is. And highway's still in pretty good shape at 910,000 as a fund balance.
The balance of your financial statements includes footnotes that gives you the detail about the outstanding debt, your capital assets, a lengthy explanation of your proportionate share of the retirement systems liability and the other post-employment benefits liability. One comment we'd like to make is that the town's share of the retirement system's entire liability, both the employees' retirement system and the police and fire retirement system, actually went down from 2017 to 2018. And that's primarily driven because the retirement system's investments did better in 2018. That has a direct impact on your...
Linda, what page was that on? Was it
That page, you can see it most...
44?
is on page, in the back on page 43, I think you can see, there's a table that gives the last 4 years, and you can see the ERS share was $2,100,000, it's now $760,000. And police and fire, it was $5.5 million, and now it's just about $2.8 million.
But we carry it as a liability.
And just on a note, when some people see their fund balance, that's not cash, okay? Fund balance is the assets over liabilities. People say, oh, I got a $4 million fund balance, it's not cash. Like Linda pointed out before, the cash is up on our front line. But the new sewer plant, the new water plant, that's capital assets, so that helps increase that fund balance. So I don't want,
But a fund balance in June may not be a fund balance in November, because you're gonna use that money as you go through the year.
yes. So I just don't want to think it's, oh, we can, got all this money to play
There are
with.
some that think the fund balance is money. We can just take that money and,
Right, that's why I wanted to point out it's
but
not all
it's
cash.
not,
Correct.
it's in the budget, not spent yet, but this is only July.
Right.
Okay.
As I mentioned before, we have done, the audit's been done quicker this year. We have 2 findings that are in this report that Charlie has addressed that are going to go, I'm going to say, away next year.
Yes.
And again, we had significantly less journal entries this year over last year. We cleaned up a few issues that, even this year, that have been lingering.
So those 2 points are, those 2 points are the conditions on page 11 of the packet I got. Reconciliation may contain many reconciling items that should be investigated and eliminated. Is that the one we're talking about? And the one
Right.
below it, the town has not adopted a policy for capitalization of assets and does not maintain the complete annual updated listing. Those are both done.
I'm in the process of doing the capital policy. Actually, on the bank statements, there was a problem with the payroll bank rec that went back years. The way Munis handled the payments, like we withhold for your dental plan, for the medical plan, we withhold the money. And the way Munis was handling it, and the way a normal bank statement would go, there was like a carryover that just carried, I'd say almost 10, 12 years, that actually RBT took almost a month to find and clean up. So we corrected that error, that's all done, we're moving forward. I'm in the middle of doing the capital policy. I believe we did one back in 2004 when it came out with GASB 34, but I can't find it, because I was here at the time, so I think we have one, but I'm in the process of putting it together. I'll have it now, the end of August. I'll have it by September. I'll have it for you guys to vote on in September.
Okay, that's fine. Seems to me with the budget of, what's our total budget?
Well, just the town itself is about 28, 30 million.
And we have a problem with some of the reconciliation items that's like an A++.
Plus,
When I read something and I don't understand, and I just like to ask.
Sure. I'd like to clarify it.
That's why we wanted Linda to come tonight to sort of give everybody a quick explanation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Charlie, or we can reach out to Linda, and she can come back if you want. If there's a lot of questions, we can come back and represent your questions, or you can get answers one-on-one. It's just, if you look at it, it's a little upsetting if you don't understand what it means.
Overwhelming, right?
You want to understand what it means when you look at it, to know where we're going forward. But overall, I think it was good. I think we've, the last couple of years with the team he's got in the office here, we've got a lot of things in check, and this year things went pretty smooth. I mean, last year I think they were here 6 weeks, and this year they're only here like maybe 3 weeks.
I don't know.
I think we were here for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This year you weren't here that long. Last year you were here a lot longer.
Yes.
Yeah, you were here the first week, you came back a few times, so I think the coordination's worked out a lot with the office, and pre-planning and getting everything ready ahead of time has worked out in our favor. Any other questions? Nope. Thanks for coming on such
Thank you.
a short notice. And Linda, do we have a digital copy of this?
Yes, I have a copy. We'll post tomorrow.
Yeah, make sure Mark posts it in the morning.
Thank you.
Mr. Carlos.
Resolution 2. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the Town Supervisor to execute a 4-year SRO agreement with Spackenkill Union Free School District from January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2022, in substantially the form annexed, with an increase in the reimbursement to the Town of Poughkeepsie to $80,000 to $85,000 to $90,000 to $95,000 per year respectively. The school resource officer agreement to provide the school district with a school resource officer who shall be a police officer of the Town of Poughkeepsie assigned to the Spackenkill School District pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth in said agreement. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore received an application from Marist College to include a firework display at their block party to be held on Sunday, August 25th, 2019, and whereas the applicant has notified the Fairview Fire Department, and whereas a certificate of liability insurance has been filed with the town clerk naming the Town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the application as submitted for a firework display to be held on Sunday, August 25th, 2019 at approximately 9:00 p.m. on Marist College campus at the end of Fulton Street, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
A motion second. Any question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby waive all fees for the permits required by the Arlington Fire District for a replacement project to their alarm system at the headquarters station located at 11 Boulevard, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to... the end of our agenda.
Yeah.
You have it?
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items, to wit, Town Clerk authorized for a car show at the Poughkeepsie Galleria. And be it further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the Town Board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
A motion second. Any question on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore received an application from the Poughkeepsie Galleria to hold a car show with Fox Oldies in the Poughkeepsie Galleria parking lot at the east side of the building, 2001 South Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, 12601 on Saturday, August 3rd, 2019, and whereas the presence of food vendors, craft vendors is a vital part of a successful event, now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does not include the vendors of food and/or goods participating in said car show with Fox Oldies as peddlers and hawkers, and these vendors are hereby exempt from the provisions of Chapter 151 of the Town Code, and be further resolved that a certificate of liability insurance naming the Town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured has been filed with the Town Clerk's office, and be further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the application as submitted for said event to be held on Saturday, August 3rd, 2019. So moved.
Second.
A motion second. Any question on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor? Anybody like to discuss anything? Three.
Thanks, Jay, for making sure that that'll be posted. And, you know, sometimes when the auditors sit here, they don't realize that people don't understand. Like, she kept talking about bands, and people may not know that that's a bond anticipation note, or that PFRS is the Police and Fire Retirement System, or ERS is the Employee Retirement System. So it would be helpful sometimes if they remember to make it easy enough for everybody to understand.
And that was sort of the reason to have them come with the GASB stuff, because if you look at it, it's almost disheartening numbers when you first look at them until you understand what it means. So, yeah, you're right. Maybe she should spelled out a little further for the normal.
Okay, and then my only other question is, what's the status of the county consolidation study between the Arlington Fire District and the town for sharing quarters potentially?
They should be ready to come and present, but Mike's away and he'll be back Monday. I'll follow up with him on Monday if they've emailed them to see if they have a date yet. They've just about wrapped it up, and the only thing we want to do is, get the new fire chairman over here to discuss it. Now you have another new chairman over in Arlington.
Okay, so you mean the Board of Fire Commissioners
Yeah.
chairman?
Just, I'm gonna
Okay.
try to fill him in as soon as Mike gets back, and Mike will touch base with him when he comes back on Monday to see if they're finalized. They're just about done. We went over some of it right before he went away, so it should be pretty much finalized.
Okay, so potentially for the August Committee of the Whole?
The second week in August or maybe first week in September with vacations. I don't want to do when everybody's away
Okay.
or if some of our board members are away.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody have a good night.